Proverbs chapter 22, the value of wisdom, integrity, and godly living. Proverbs 22 is an instructive chapter that weaves together timeless lessons on integrity, humility, discipline, justice, and wisdom. It opens with the statement that a good name is to be chosen over great riches. This sets the tone for the entire chapter, establishing that character and reputation are far more valuable than material success. Wealth is temporary, but a person's integrity and the favor that comes from righteous living are enduring treasures that cannot be bought with silver or gold. The next verse reminds us that both the rich and the poor share a common Creator. In this simple but powerful truth, the writer levels the social and economic playing field, showing that all people are equal before God. Wealth does not elevate a person in divine terms, nor does poverty diminish one's worth. From this equality flows a moral responsibility. Those with power or resources must not exploit others, for the Lord is the maker and defender of all. Wisdom, in this chapter, is portrayed as foresight and self-discipline. The prudent person sees danger ahead and takes refuge, while the simple-minded walk blindly into harm. The wise live with awareness and self-control, guided by humility and the fear of the Lord, qualities that, according to verse 4, lead to true riches, honor, and life. This principle contrasts worldly ambition with godly humility, suggesting that reverence for God and a modest heart bring blessings that money and pride cannot. The text then turns to the realities of moral and social conduct. The perverse find their paths filled with thorns and snares, but those who guard their souls stay far from such traps. Among the most well-known teachings in this chapter is the counsel to train up a child in the way he should go, a proverb that highlights the lifelong impact of early moral and spiritual guidance. The formation of character begins in youth, and instruction grounded in godly principles provides direction that endures into adulthood. Solomon continues by observing the dynamics of wealth and power. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. This is a practical warning about debt and dependence, teaching that financial prudence safeguards freedom. Likewise, the one who sows iniquity will inevitably reap sorrow, underscoring the moral law of cause and effect. What we plant in life, whether good or evil, will return to us in kind. In contrast, generosity brings blessing. Those who share their bread with the poor demonstrate compassion that God rewards. Strife and conflict often stem from arrogance and mockery, so the proverb advises casting out the scoffer to restore peace. Purity of heart and gracious speech, on the other hand, win favor even from kings. The Lord himself preserves truth and knowledge, while he frustrates the words of the faithless. The lazy person, inventing excuses to avoid work, imagines danger where there is none, claiming, for example, that a lion lurks outside. Through such vivid imagery, the writer exposes the foolishness of sloth. Moral decay also appears in the form of temptation. The mouth of an immoral woman is described as a deep pit, an image of the ruin that sexual immorality brings. Those who reject God's ways often fall into such traps. The chapter stresses the necessity of discipline, especially in children, for foolishness resides naturally in the human heart but can be corrected through loving guidance. Finally, oppression of the poor for profit or flattery of the rich for gain leads only to poverty and divine judgment, reminding readers that God's justice is impartial and sure. The latter part of the chapter transitions into a section called The Sayings of the Wise. Here, the reader is urged to listen attentively and internalize wisdom, allowing these teachings to shape both thought and speech. The purpose of this instruction is not mere knowledge but deeper trust in the Lord. Wisdom, when truly absorbed, brings certainty and the ability to speak truth with confidence and integrity. Practical warnings follow, against robbing the poor, associating with angry people, or recklessly guaranteeing another's debts. Each of these admonitions protects one's spiritual and practical well-being. To rob or exploit the vulnerable is to invite divine retribution, for God himself pleads the cause of the afflicted. Keeping company with hot-tempered individuals leads only to learning their destructive ways. Similarly, standing surety for another person's debt may result in personal loss. Wisdom teaches careful stewardship. The chapter concludes with two striking images of integrity and excellence. The first warns against removing the ancient landmark set by one's ancestors, a metaphor for respecting moral and social boundaries established by previous generations. The second commends diligence. A skilled and dedicated worker will stand before kings, not obscure men. This final verse encapsulates the reward of consistent effort and excellence. Those who pursue their work faithfully will gain honor and recognition. In summary, Proverbs 22 paints a portrait of the wise and righteous life. It calls for integrity over wealth, humility over pride, generosity over greed, and discipline over negligence. It upholds justice for the poor, warns against foolish alliances, and praises the diligence that leads to success. At its heart, this chapter teaches that true wisdom begins and ends with reverence for the Lord. Those who live by these principles gain not only material stability and respect, but also the enduring blessing of divine favor.
Chapter 22. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who guards his soul will be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old he will not depart from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. He who sows iniquity will reap sorrow, and the rod of his anger will fail. He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. Cast out the scoffer, and contention will leave. Yes, strife and reproach will cease. He who loves purity of heart and has grace on his lips, the king will be his friend. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the faithless. The lazy man says, "There is a lion outside. I shall be slain in the streets." The mouth of an immoral woman is a deep pit. He who is abhorred by the Lord will fall there. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge, for it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within you. Let them all be fixed upon your lips, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have instructed you today, even you. Have I not written to you excellent things of counsels and knowledge, that I may make you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you may answer words of truth to those who send to you? Do not rob the poor because he is poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gate, for the Lord will plead their cause, and plunder the soul of those who plunder them. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul. Do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who is surety for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should he take away your bed from under you? Do not remove the ancient landmark which your fathers have set. Do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men.